Welcome back to Rockstock Channel. It is Valentine's Day, Friday, February 14th, and we are back for the fifth time with Power Metals, a company for whom Mr. Market has continued to show great love on the back of an exciting cesium discovery at its Case Lake project in Ontario, Canada. Joining CEO Haydn Daxter today is Nigel Brand, a cesium expert involved with other highly profitable cesium mines put into production in recent times. Nigel also recently joined Winsome Resources as an advisor, as Winsome announced a significant new spodumene discovery at its Cermak-Clapier property in Quebec, which contains a significant cesium component. Recall that Power Metals is owned 19.5% by Winsome Resources, and for disclosure purposes, you should know that Rodney and I are strategic advisors to and hold equity interests in both Power Metals and Winsome. We are not, of course, financial advisors. This video is for information purposes only, and nothing said here should be considered investment advice. Please do your own research and read the disclaimer at the end of this video. Power Metals trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, ticker symbol PWM.V, and also on the OTC PWRMF. Its market cap is now $129 million Canadian, or 93 million US dollars. Power Metals shares traded today at 87 cents Canadian, up more than 93% year to date, and more than 2.5 times higher than the 25 cents when we published our first video with Haydn in September. For more information and to be added to Power Metals' email distribution list, please visit powermetals.com. You could also follow Power Metals on X at Power Metals Corp, and also they post regularly on LinkedIn. And with that intro out of the way, Rodney will take it from here with the discussion with Haydn and Nigel.
Haydn, good to have you back on again. Nigel, good to have you on for the first time. I think one of the things I'd just like to cover at the risk of repeating ourselves is to give the viewers an understanding and remind them of how few high-grade cesium discoveries there have been in the past, and by comparison to other critical minerals like lithium, what the cost and timelines are for permitting and mining a deposit of a similar size, that's been in the past, that's similar to Case Lake, what that's shaping up to be. Can you just give the viewers a sense of those numbers?
Yeah, hi Howard, hi Rodney. Thanks for having us on again, and also welcome to Dr. Nigel Brand for joining us today. Look, I think around that, Nigel's also well placed to discuss some of these previous sort of mines and cesium deposits that have been hosted in pollucite. So previously, there's been 3 high-grade mines mined globally, and with that, the timeline and sort of permitting stage for our Case Lake project is very, very rapid from a normal, what we consider a lithium or a gold mine. There's a lot of, heavy requirements on treatment, reagents, tailings, and a lot of waste. Whereas our process is incredibly simple. It's a simple, extraction of the rock and then crushed and sorted to a concentrate, and that concentrate is then the saleable product that is produced on site. And that was evident by some of the test work that we completed late last year, where we produced a close to 20% concentrate that would then move to a saleable product and downstream production.
Okay, great. And just one other thing to cover, we had a follower on X reach out and ask about what the market size was for cesium carbonate, and they also asked for the OPEX, what it cost to upgrade to that from an oxide, and if there were any processing losses between going from an oxide to a carbonate. Can you cover that or give us some sense?
I'll reach over to Nigel on the market capitalization for cesium at present.
It's not a transparent market. It's probably around 2,200 to tons of cesium carbonates per year. The OPEX costs and the losses. We're currently undergoing some test work at both SGS and Nagrom to start evaluating those parameters. Yeah.
Okay, great. Can you give a rough indication of, in terms of anything that you've had so far, about how many tons of one to make the other, or is that still coming through the exercise?
That's still coming through the exercise. It's I suppose a stoichiometric problem, which you can calculate quite rapidly. I just haven't got the figures in front of me.
Okay, so we'll cover that. And then if we move on to exploration, there's some great numbers to keep coming out with. So you've had some of the first series of the phase 3 holes being released earlier this month. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, definitely. So we had a greater than 20% cesium oxide intercepts on the first round of phase 3 reported earlier this month, and then just last week we reported the final phase of our phase 3 holes, where again we had 22.7% cesium oxide intercepts and a number of, what's been interesting in these last two programs, a number of quite broad and sort of consistent grades of between 6 to up to 9 meters at around 5 to 7% cesium oxide, which is fantastic to see for the company. And then one that I'm incredibly impressed with, and Nigel and I were discussing this last week, was the first program we released earlier in February. We had 5,500 ppm tantalum again, which is incredibly high. We then have seen 6,200 and another 5,500 ppm intercept in the last round of assays that we reported, which those two products there, when we look at the cesium and then the incredibly high grade tantalum, it's definitely sort of mouthwatering seeing some of those grades at present.
And Haydn, just for edification of the viewers, how is in the processing part of the flow sheet, how are those separated?
Yeah, currently in the initial test work we conducted with TOMRA and SGS, we produced that cesium oxide at a high level. The waste product it contained high-grade tantalum and high-grade lithium. So our current waste from phase 1 of TOMRA sorting is with Nagrom in Australia to run sort of some test work on some beneficiation, and then seeing do we have some high-grade and saleable products in our waste, which is looking very promising, and I'm hoping that'll come back positive.
Okay, good. And the remaining results for the phase 3 drilling program, were those due out shortly?
No, that's it now. We've released all of them, so there's none to follow. We'll move into preparation and some field work and getting ready to commence drilling after PDAC at this stage.
Right, and you've got the new exploration permit granted for Coast Lake?
Yeah, as discussed late last year, we put that application in and we're pretty confident that it'd be granted, and it was. The ministry has issued us the permit, which covers all known targets across the whole property. And then, that sort of leads into some work that we conducted here last week with Nigel, with structural geologist Lee Rankin, geophysicist Regis Neroni, myself, and we spent a 2-day session and joined with the team in Canada to really have a good look and commence some qualified targeting across the property.
Nigel, can you sort of expand on that a bit more?
Yeah, sure. Look, it was basically a 2 days exercise. Lee did some incredible structural mapping, and then we've integrated the geophysics, the geochemistry, and the structural mapping, and have now got a golden cesium triangle. So we've reduced the search space down quite significantly, and within that search space there are various priority areas. from the existing trends and then stepping out. And that will be the main focus during this year. So it's going to be a very, very busy year to knock through all of those priority areas. So some of the priorities are existing cesium known areas, cesium anomalies. Then there's some structural and geophysical targets. There's still a lot of outcrop to be sampled. And bringing all that together, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll certainly have looked at and evaluated that golden cesium triangle. Yeah.
And you've got the phase 1 for the year kicking off then in March.
At this stage, we're planning sort of around the middle to the latter part of March, pending. There's a number of items on the stove at present, so we'll work through those, and we'll also be attending PDAC, so we'll get ourselves into Toronto for PDAC, and then look at planning and starting some work there. So I'll be heading into Toronto next week and doing a site visit and start working on the next phase of drilling for 2025.
That's good. You'll see how there. And then on to studies. My favorite part always in the investment cycle, it often is where a lot of the value is unlocked, certainly on the descent curve. You've got DRAs commenced, your mineral resource estimate. I've done a site visit last year and this week. So your estimate for completion of that is at the end of this quarter?
Yeah, that's still looking really well, on track for the end of Q1 to release our maiden resource there. Estimate with DRA, at this point in time, it's looking very good. No delays, so I'm not going to put the jinx on anyone, but it's on track, and we're comfortable with what we're seeing at present.
And then impressively, I guess, because you've done some of the met test work, is they've also, DRA's also commenced with a PA, and you're hoping to get something out by the end of Q2.
Yeah, that's right. We were fortunate enough that we commenced early with a lot of the met test work and a lot of the other requirements that would assist us in fast tracking that PEA. So end of Q2 is the target date for that one. And likewise, it's coming along nicely. There's no issues at present, and we can't see any reason for that not to achieve the scheduled date by the end of that Q2.
I think that's really impressive, and I think reflects also, again, the nature of cesium as opposed to other minerals. And then Blue Heron is doing your baseline studies.
Yeah, they're deep into the baseline, so they're doing monthly programs now. So there's water sampling, flow monitoring, and they'll commence shortly on some of the flora and fauna studies. So they're advancing that currently and have been doing so at a smaller scale last year, and we've really ramped that up towards the end of last year. And this year it'll be full steam ahead with all of the permitting baseline studies that are required.
Great. And then to the test work that we've just lightly touched on. The phase 1 ore sorting is completed in Germany, and the samples have been shipped to Canada for assay results.
That's correct. So our bulk 250 kilo sample was completed. We're just awaiting the final report from TOMRA in Germany on the ore sorting, on how that's come up. But initial discussions on the meeting we had last week is represented very well, similar to the one last year that was conducted in Australia. So once we have that report, we'll put out some information on what they've found and what we have there. And then we anticipate the samples to arrive next week into Canada, and then we'll fast track those for results from basically the splits on the waste, and which will be the concentrate, and then the other material, and then we'll go from there with that one. So pretty confident, I won't say in the next sort of 3 to 4 weeks, but I would anticipate within about a month or so, we would likely to see some results from the assays from those.
And SGS is underway with a cesium chemical production test work.
Yeah, that's well advanced now. So they're halfway through the production of producing a reducing the chemical down, performing a number of the test work that's required there. An end date on that is a tricky one at present. Obviously they're running a number of samples for us, and we anticipate that'll be sort of toward the end of March at this stage to see the completion and production of the various chemicals. With that process, though, we've asked them to produce not one chemical but a number. So they're producing a cesium formate, a cesium carbonate, and a hydroxide as well, just to see how it comes up, from the concentrate level.
And Haydn, those three products effectively covers any potential demand in the downstream?
It covers a large proportion of it, but there's still a very small amount of material that's used in very niche sectors with, I think there's about, Nigel's probably more versatile on this, but there's probably about a dozen cesium chemicals that can be produced. And some of those are used in very, very small quantities. So we're targeting more so the mainstays of the cesium business at this point in time.
And Nagrom is underway with the cesium chemical production test work and the lithium tantalum concentration work. How's that progressing?
That's progressing really well. Nagrom's, they're progressing exceptionally well. So we're anticipating end of March time to have a full suite of test work results from the two laboratories on a number of different products for the company to see how we sit. Ultimately our main goal is to try and achieve a high grade concentrate, which we've proven we have, and then to convert those into some really meaningful cesium chemicals that are required downstream, and then at the same time is to assess our waste material to see if we have a secondary and potentially a tertiary economic sort of benefit from mining the cesium there.
And if we move on, you mentioned you're headed for PDAC, which is great, a very important event, often on the calendar. You're going to have some of the core shack on display of the high-grade polysite?
Exactly right, Rodney. So the Tuesday and the Thursday, we've got display at the core shack with some of the high-grade cesium. So we've got some of the metallurgical test holes that we use. So, larger diameter HQ core will be on display there. So happy to, discuss and show off the core a bit to whoever's attending. And also while I'm heading to Toronto this coming week, and then I'll also be on site to review progress ready for drilling, and then also locked in another meeting with the Minister of Mines to give him an update on the project and continue to push forward and really generate support for the project.
That's a follow-up, is it not, Hen?
Yes, yeah, that's correct. We had an initial meeting in October, and he invited us back to provide a follow-up, so PDAC's a perfect time for that.
Okay, great. And you'll also be able to touch base when you're at PDAC with the key stakeholders.
Yeah, look, we've been engaged, and it's been a very busy time with the key stakeholders, and hence why we earlier this year we engaged Canaccord. They're sort of financial advisor for the company now as we work through just the large amount of interest that we've received on the project and on the cesium. So, that'll be, I guess, critical for the company to push forward with Canaccord and review all of the strategic partners that we're in discussion with and put our best foot forward.
And on that front, Haydn, what exactly you've appointed Canaccord has been engaged as an advisor to the extent that you can. What is the scope and objective of their mandate?
Currently, it's to review all of the interested parties that we've been in negotiation with since last year, and then to act as sort of an intermediate between the company and the strategic partner as to working out the best structure and I guess, assessing each individual party and sort of, the potential that it offers for power metals. Ultimately, there's two parts to this. It's getting the fast tracking the project and continuing on the rapid pace that we're currently setting, and then the downstream aspects of a mineral that is very, I guess, rare and has a very sort of niche market, and currently 50% or over 50% of the market has been controlled by the Chinese. So getting some strategic guidance on how we best navigate the North American, European market, and potentially some of the Asian market without the Chinese is being critical. And we've engaged Canaccord, but we've been speaking with Canaccord Toronto and Canaccord Sydney to assist us on this.
Okay, great. That sounds good. Hopefully, I'm sure we'll see Howard at GDEC, and you can follow up. But we will, when we do our next follow up, we'll touch on that question again that was raised about processing and OPEX to cover in. But this is fantastic. So the two key things, I guess, is mineral resource estimate by the end of Q1 and a PEA hopefully by the end of Q2 on the back of some robust test work and drilling campaign that's come up with good results.
Excellent, and some more exploration. So yeah, it's a busy start to the year. Our share price is reflecting, I think, some of the hard work we put in last year, and we will continue to crack on at the current pace, and really looking forward to see how we move forward into 2025.
And just one other thing is for the MRE, when will you cut off the numbers to use?
We cut off with our phase 3. So we used, we sort of stored a little bit, provided all the data that we could up to phase 2 straight away. That's why we had DRA on site early last year, or sort of towards the end of last year, to really start that process. And then they've been working away, and we've sort of, come to a great agreement between both parties that we would continue to drill and then feed in the last round of phase 3, which we've done now. So it's good. We've got the majority of the drill holes completed for 2024, all of the 2022 and 2018 drill holes now into that data set for the resource. And then we'll start fresh, and hopefully we'll be giving it a re-rate and an upgrade after some more drilling.
Absolutely. So, before you pitch for mine plans or anything else, you've got a good window in which to increase further.
Definitely. Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, great. Thanks very much for coming on again, Haydn and Nigel. Good to meet you.
Likewise.
And this is definitely one to watch. As we've said before, in terms of timelines and permitting, etc., and value, it's a great proposition, and hopefully we will see Power Metals be number 4 in the high-grade cesium assets going into production.
I think we're well on track for that one, Rodney, and we look forward to putting the Power Metals name in lights as the 4th cesium deposit.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thanks for your time, gentlemen. Thank you, Nigel.
Thanks, guys.